Namaste, Jai Bharat. Among all the forms of governance, whatever humankind has experienced, the best form of governance as it stands today is democracy. So we find that all other patterns or forms of governance has much more drawbacks than the drawbacks we find in democracy. So democracy obviously becomes the best available form of government which is more suitable to us. Fine. Now, normally in democracy as on today is multi-political party democracy. In multi-political party democracy, there are people who are involved in these called political activities, which doesn't yield them any income. So they have to make a living out of something if they can, or they have to make a living out of this politicking, which within a permissible limit should be accepted as okay. They have to live. And of course they just don't live like others, they live with luxury, pomp, and all those things are there. The human elements and human drawbacks should be there, are there. Now, hardly anyone makes an income other than that. Now, we expect the leadership, the political party leadership, to behave according to their status. That is, we expect them to behave responsibly, and we expect them to be honest at least to themselves. Now, these two things, if these two things are not done, then the whole society is taken for a ride. We expect them to be responsible, we expect them to be honest, because what they say gets carried to people, and people do believe them until otherwise proved. They accept them as correct. So they must be responsible, they must be honest, and they must not be liars, and they must not be cheaters, and they must not be thieving. In many places we have seen people thieving during the short period of existence. They amass wealth and go to some other countries, settle. This is what happens in Pakistan mostly, and believe that they can spend the rest of their life in some other nations comfortably. Anyway, that's not our problem. Such things don't happen in our nation, though money laundering is there, which was not the case in the beginning, which had started at some point in time, where they have funds put in different banks. Initially, they must have been putting funds in some areas for the functioning of the political party, and which would need definitely a huge amount of money, maybe. But when it goes to personal level, then that becomes nasty. Why I say this today is because very recently, especially with this present elections, we find the opposition behaving absolutely irresponsibly, irrationally to a great extent, and they go to the extent of creating lies, concocting lies, creating lies, spreading lies, and deceiving people. So to that extent that these days people don't believe what they say. This is an unfortunate situation, and there should be a limit to everything and every human being, even in his thinking pattern. If they go to the extent of talking against the Hindu Dharma, which one should know, it's against common experience and beliefs that the opposition speaks about Hindu Dharma. It's not only one leader. Somebody else was speaking about Bhagavad Gita, whose name, of course. This is an unfortunate situation. I shall tell you one thing. One ought to have the ability to see beyond their noses. There are two concepts in Sanskrit. Hraswadrishti and Dirghadrishti. The Dirghadrishti is the one who can see ahead in time. Hraswadrishti looks at in his immediate surroundings and he addresses the immediate problems, and he would like to get out of the immediate problems instead of solving them. What they do right now is absolutely the short-sightedness. They just wanted to get rid of the situation, so they speak anything and hardly anyone thinks about the future. Precisely this is what the state of the government of Kerala, of communist government Kerala does. They spend money to their own whims and fancies, no matter from where they gather money, borrow through multiple techniques, they spend it, and the state goes into debt. I don't know how much, but I'm given the impression that the state's debt has increased many times than the entire history. Of that pranta. And the poor people sitting there, they know very well that they are not going to be permanently sitting there, of course. In democracy, hardly anyone is going to permanently sit there. So, who will have to pay it back and is not their concern. They just wanted to get their time spent completely happy. This is irresponsibility. This is anti-history. This is anti-history, and it amounts to be anti-social to a society to which one belongs. Such things taking place in our parliament as well. This one has to address, this one has to counter, and this one has to speak about what results shall yield. The people should to decide, because we in democracy, Janta Janardhan, they will take steps. But let's remain conscious about these things. I gave the example of the communist government in Kerala because that's the best available example of squandering money and then not bothering about who is going to pay back. It's something like, somebody offers you freebies. You have this much of electricity free. You have this much of water free. You have this much of this thing free. But then one should be sensible enough to think that nothing comes free anywhere. If you get 1 rupee free, then that rupee someone is paying for you. And that someone who is paying for you must find sources of creating that. Nothing comes free. Nothing comes free. Someone has to pay it. Similarly, whatever you do, somebody has to pay it back. It may be not you, and it shall not be you. It will be somebody else who comes, and he will have to again do this circus to get rid of the immediate situation, because he is also Hraswadrishti. So let's remain conscious about it. Let's understand these are things happening. One should know, one should think. Till we meet again, Namaste, Jai Bharat, Jai Shri Ram.